Good day, students. Welcome to this subject, Social Studies, Grade 9A and 9B. Your teacher here, Miss Michelle Joy. This video will serve as a recap makeup class, especially for the students who weren't able to join us in our class today. Let's proceed to our online learning discussion now. So class, before we proceed to our online learning discussion, I would like us to have a short recap or review of the last topics that we have discussed. The first topic was about comparative advantage. A country enjoys a comparative advantage in the production of a good when that good can be produced at a lower cost in terms of other goods. The next topic that we have discussed last week is about absolute advantage. So absolute advantage refers to the ability of a person, firm, or nation to produce more of a product with same amount of resources or same quantity of a product with fewer amounts of resources. So these were the two topics that we have discussed last week. Now class, the objectives of our lesson for today are the following. Number one, students must be able to know the problems that could come up when trading among nations. Number two, students must be able to know the three major barriers to world trade. So class, I expect that at the end of our lesson, you already know the problems that could come up when you trade among nations or countries. And the three major barriers to world trade or the reasons why world trade are being hindered. Or when you say hinder means stop. Class, the topics for this week are the following. Letter A, barriers to world trade, and letter B, World Trade Organization. So these are the words to learn or vocabulary words that can help us better understand our topic for today. Please repeat after me so you can still practice your reading skills and speaking skills even if you're just at home. Are you ready now? Let's start reading. Number one, barrier. Number two, World Trade Organization. Number three, tariff. Number four, quota. And number five, embargo. So class, when you say barrier, it means impediment, obstacle, hindrance, bar, obstruction, barricade, block, fence, wall, hurdle. So in short class, when you say barrier, the reason why you stop doing something. Next word is World Trade Organization or WTO. It is the only global or international organization dealing with the rules of trade between nations. We have to set rules and make sure that they are being implemented and followed so that the trade will be done equally and smoothly. Next is tariff. So when we say tariff class, it's actually a tax put on goods imported from other countries. The effect of a tariff is to raise the price of the important product or imported product. So why do you think they have to do this? Because it makes imported goods more expensive so that people are more likely to purchase lower priced item produced or made locally or domestically. Next word is quota. So when you say quota class, is a restriction on the amount of a good that can be imported into country. So let's say a bag, Louis Vuitton. So this product can only export 50 bags in Thailand. So even if they still want to sell more bags, or even if Thai people still want to buy bags, they won't anymore and they can't anymore because the agreement or the quota is only 50. Next is embargo. So what is embargo? Trade embargoes forbid trade with another country. So what is the reason behind this? So the government orders a complete ban on trade with another country. So the embargo is the harshest type of trade barrier and is usually enacted for political purposes to hurt a country economically. So these are the five words that can help us better understand our topic for today. Let's read them again from numbers 1 to 5. Barrier, World Trade Organization, tariff, quota, and embargo.
Although today's customers usually don't care where the products they buy come from, national governments have traditionally preferred that customers buy domestically made products in hopes that such purchases would increase the number of domestic businesses and workers. In fact, governments have done much more than hope that you will buy from domestic companies. Historically, governments have actively used trade barriers to make it much more expensive or difficult, or sometimes impossible, for customers to buy or consume imported goods. Protectionism is a government's use of trade barriers to shield domestic companies and their workers from foreign competition. Governments have used two general kinds of trade barriers: tariff and non-tariff barriers. A tariff is a direct tax imposed on imported goods. Tariffs increase the cost of imported goods relative to that of domestic goods. An Argentinian import tax on electric products is 35%, for example. Non-tariff barriers are non-tax methods of increasing the cost or reducing the volume of imported goods. There are 5 types of non-type barriers: quotas, voluntary export restraints, government import standards, government subsidies, and customs valuation and classification. Because there are so many different kinds of non-tariff barriers, they can be even more potent method of shielding domestic industries from foreign competition. Quotas are specific limits on the number or volume of imported products. For example, the Chinese government only allows 34 imported movies per year. Like quotas, voluntary export restraints limit the amount of a product that can be imported annually. The difference is that the exporting country, rather than the importing country, imposes restraints. Usually, however, the voluntary offer to limit export occurs because the importing country has implicitly threatened to impose quotas. Government import standards are ostensibly established to protect the health and safety of citizens, but in reality are often used to restrict imports. Many nations also use subsidies, such as long-term, low-interest loans, cash grants, and tax deferments to develop and protect companies in special industries. The last type of non-tariff barrier is customs classification. As products are imported into a country, they're examined by custom agents who must decide which of nearly 9,000 categories they should be classified.
So, class, different problems could come up when trading among nations. So, there are also problems or difficulties that are happening or that occurs when you do world trade, like currencies. They could be different, exchange rates, the amount or value of your money fluctuates, different languages, and of course, culture as well between various trading partners. So some nations may set restrictions to discourage or limit trade, or worse, to make an embargo between countries. So, class, there are 3 major barriers to world trade. So, let's discuss the first one, which is tariff. So, there are 2 types of tariff. The first one is revenue tariff, to raise government revenue without restricting imports significantly. Okay, so that you will not be able to buy products importedly or from other country, but then you are going to patronize your own product. Protective tariff is the second type of tariff. It is designed to raise the cost of imported goods and thereby protect domestic producers. So you can buy products of your own country. The second one is quota. So an alternative method for restricting imports is the quota system. So in here, it usually restricts the number of units of a particular good that can be brought into the country. And the last one is embargo. It is a complete restrictions on the import or export of a particular good. And these are being done for political reasons. So a country could order embargoes on goods coming from another country to show that they don't agree with each other on a particular issue. Now, class, to summarize the topics that we have just discussed, so it's about the barriers to world trade. So what are trade barriers? Again, trade barriers are things that hinder or stops us to get in the way of trading. So there are three types of barrier class. So we have cultural barriers, talks about language, currency, belief, and system. It also talks about physical barriers like mountains, deserts, canyons, because it is actually difficult for the product to transport. And the last one, economic barrier, government rules the tax, limit or block international trade between countries. And these are the three problems that we have discussed, which is about tariff, quota, and embargo. Now, class, for your activity, please click the link in the Google Classroom to answer the activity. So it looks like this. So you have to match the word to the correct sentence or phrase. And after you already match everything, please click finish, click check my answers, screenshot your scores, and upload it in social studies album in your line group. Good luck, everyone! So class, we now come to the end of our online learning discussion. If you have any questions, suggestion, or comments, or anything that you want to ask Miss MJ, please feel free to call me or send me a message in my personal line account. So I will get back to you as soon as I can. Stay safe, everyone, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye.